didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say. But she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard.
You didn't offer anything.
Down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th.
We saw you trying to weasel out of the street.
And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too. And
we watched the 4 hours it took you to tell them to go home.
Have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable, and he wants to let them all out.
Except
and now
Trump should also be the one being held accountable.
That he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
He's threatening because he's a terrorist.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people.
No, they destroyed their lives by following you.
Down
so
Portland,
you destroyed their lives. Putin destroyed their lives.
Many other cities. You go to Minnesota,
Portland's still there. Minneapolis is still there.
With the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true.
And he just hasn't been convicted of
there was
hardly any of his crimes so far
to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing to, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon. at a very high level. His son is convicted.
guns,
Going to be convicted
which
probably
the only time
numerous
he'll
other
have turned
times.
against anybody
Should have
for
been
guns.
convicted before, but his
Just
Justice
goes to show
Department
Putin
let
can get
the
your
statute of
supporters,
limitations
your
lapse on the most
Trumpooneers,
important things. But he could be a convicted
turn
felon
against
as soon
everything
as
they
he
claim
gets
to
out of
believe in.
office. Joe could be a
Jesus,
convicted felon with all
USA,
of the
even
things that he's
guns.
done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at
Name one.
the border.
No, you
telling the
caused a
Ukrainian
million
people that
American
we're going
deaths.
to want $1 billion, or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor, having
That's
to do with
what
his
you
son.
did to NATO.
This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have
That's
sex with a
disrespectful to
porn
alley
star,
cats.
number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge,
Only give a
Democrat.
Putin-captured
The
Supreme Court.
prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to
No,
damage
because
people.
you
When the
committed a
public
bunch of crimes,
found out
and they
about
didn't go
these
after you
cases,
soon
because they
enough.
understand it better than he does. He has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we
Because
took
your
in more
supporters
money
are
in the last
rapists
2
and
weeks
terrorists.
than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken hundreds of millions of dollars
From
keep pouring
rapists
in
and terrorists
because
and
the
terrorist
public knows
supporters.
it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President
He
Trump.
could
President
have
Biden,
blew
have
you out of the
said,
water
quote,
if he just
Donald
hadn't supported
Trump
the
and his
genocide
MAGA
in Gaza.
Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
He told the
The more they
Christians
know
that it's
about
the
what
last
he's
time they
done,
have to
yes.
vote.
The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face.
Just talk about how he
I don't know what the
specifically
jury
said
will
he
do.
wants to destroy
I do
democracy,
know
and how he
that's
wants
no
to do it for
problem.
Putin.
And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches.
Because they're
and singing the
Nazis.
same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And and the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The people the ones that got killed, the one that tried to stop it, and the ones," he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing
A Nazi.
the same anti-Semitic bile?
The same guy who
carrying
called for a
swastikas
unified Reich.
for fine people.
The same guy who
This is the guy who
spoke
says Hitler's
on a
done some good
stage with
things.
Nazi
I'd
symbols,
like to
made
know what they
it
are.
shaped like a Nazi symbol.
things
The
Hitler's
guy
done,
used
that's what he
Nazi
said.
symbols on
This
Facebook,
guy
and he had to
has no
complain
sense
to
of
Mark
American
Zuckerberg for
democracy.
weeks before he could even
President Trump.
archive it.
Jake,
He didn't take it
both of you
down.
know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it
Wiped
said
out by your
100%
scrubbing the
exoneration
internet?
on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous.
But you're
We
not
have a
going
debate.
to
We're trying
deny
to
anything about
justify
being a
his
Nazi, are
presidency.
you?
His presidency.
Because you're a Nazi,
Without
and Putin's a
question,
Nazi,
the worst,
and your supporters are
president, the
Nazis,
worst presidency
and you're not
in the history
American.
of our country.
And you're the worst person in the history of the fucking world.
He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place.
What's
Every
debunked? We all
anchor,
watched
every
it happen.
reasonable actor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
So you're just lying to cover up the
President
obvious
Biden,
Nazis we
Debunk
all saw.
what happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all.
Doesn't deserve
The
to be running
idea
around free. He's a
that
terrorist
talking
supporter.
about all this being fabricated. We saw with our own eyes. We
Like
saw
Alex
what happened on
Jones.
January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you,
They
President
know
Biden.
he's a
We're gonna be
Nazi.
right back
We
with
just
more
should have
from
proved
the
to
CNN
everybody. 'Cause
presidential
he didn't
debate.
deny it.